Okay. Welcome to our next episode for our Dream to Rise, and we have a special guest who has been gifted with the ability to communicate with archangels and spirit. With this information, he guides and assists others to fulfill their spiritual path. He loves call-in segments where people can ask him questions on the air. His main goal is to teach people about their reason for existence and to help them become a better version of themselves.
I sure hope so.
Yes, it is with his intention that he operates out of a spirit of love and compassion. He has been able to help many people in finding their true path with amazing results. He takes extreme pride in his ability to answer all the unanswered questions. Without further ado, let's welcome Daniel or Daniel?
Daniel.
Daniel Jackson.
That's me.
Welcome, Daniel. Nice.
Thanks for having me.
To have you here
it.
with us. And how are you doing? Belated Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving for us, my wife and I, it's just another day. As any day, it's just another day. I just turned 57 on Saturday, but I turned 57.
Happy birthday! This is a
well,
special episode.
It's my birthday again this time around, because as I explained to everyone, we've all been here many times. We've all had many lifetimes. You come back here over and over and over again, but the reason why we come back, we're not being punished. The whole reincarnation thing is not a punishment whatsoever. You're coming back because we're meant to come here to learn lessons and fulfill a purpose. And the main thing is to is to fulfill that purpose. And if you don't fulfill that purpose within your lifetime, you come back and do it over again. That's why we come back. It's not about being punished or you were a bad person or anything like that. You just come back because you're here to fulfill a purpose. But only those who cross over into the light would come back. Those who do not, because there's no such place as hell or purgatory or anything like that. You either walk into the light and you go home, or you remain here as what we would refer to as an earthbound spirit. And those who are earthbound don't come back because the only way you can be more or less recycled to come back again is you'd have to walk into that light and be born into another body again.
This is kind of interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Because I am my background is really different, no? It's more on the I'm a Catholic, and I don't know I don't know so much about what you will be sharing, and I'm kind of
you were born into Catholicism. You aren't a Catholic. You are a human being. That's all you are.
Yes.
But we are. You don't have to be Catholic if you don't want to. I was also, my family raised us as. I mean, I knew I was Catholic, but we didn't go to church because my mom gave us a choice whether to go to church or not, and I just didn't go because it just bored me so much I would fall asleep. So why bother going to someplace, getting up early in the morning and getting dressed and going someplace if you're just going to sit into a chair and fall asleep? So and I didn't practice anything that was considered Catholic in the first place, because from when I grew up and started seeing what Catholics were doing, I didn't think I wanted to have any part in that anyway, because they're so very judgmental towards other people anyway. So I didn't want to be associated by being labeled a certain thing. I'm just spiritual, and it has nothing to do with any religion whatsoever.
Okay.
Because God and Jesus have nothing to do with religion. It's religion that put God and Jesus into their ideology in order to have power and control over other people. And I don't believe in that whatsoever. Shouldn't be doing that. God doesn't believe in that either. So because when you leave here, we all do, we leave, and some of us stay here as earthbound spirit, some of us go home. But then what do you have in common with the other 7.5 billion people on the face of this earth? They've all been to heaven. They all had to come back just like you. So what does that make us all? Equal. Whereas religion wants to separate us and say, I'm better than you because I'm this religion. No, you're not. You're just a person who has a different belief. That's all.
Oh, I see.
Doesn't make you better.
Oh, okay. Right. And could you share? Well, I've asked you before we recorded this. No, I would you like to share your story, something about
Sure.
yourself, and that brought you to where you are right now, what you're doing right now?
Well, what I'm doing now is another type of trauma that I went through. I went through a previous traumatic incident just prior to this spiritual awakening that came on. And that was I was around 40 years old. I think I was 42 when this happened, and I got into an accident at work where I was doing someone else's job that day because they had to leave early. So I was at this machine. I worked in this freezer plant, and we were working with chicken that day, and we had to get the boxes of chicken separated because it had separation, big pieces of plastic that separate the boxes. We pull them out and then put them onto a pallet, and then we would wrap them. But they only wrapped it with this very thin little tape. They didn't wrap it in plastic like you see on other places. They wrapped it in little thin tape at the top and stack up 2 stacks of this chicken, and one guy would pick it up with a forklift and take it into the blast freezer. And I was doing this guy's job where I was pulling it all apart and putting it back together when my regular job would be picking up the pallets of frozen chicken on the forklift. So I'm doing this other guy's job, and another guy had to take over my job. Well, he was not that experienced with it, and he came and picked up this 2 pallets of frozen chicken that I had behind me. And when he went to pick it up, they started to collapse. They started to fall. So he put them right back down, and the spot that he put them in was right next to me. So the pallets of chicken fell on top of me.
Like,
So yeah, I went to work on my motorcycle and I left in an ambulance.
oh my.
And then I ended up going to the hospital, and then through that process, I really messed up my back. I had had to have a disc decompression surgery where they had to cut the disc because it was bulging out and touching on nerves, and was
This is
causing me
the
a great deal of pain.
fusion that you were.
Yeah, I eventually had fusion. It started with a disc decompression, and then a year and a half later, I was in the kitchen and I bent over to get something out of the refrigerator. When I did, my back just made this pop noise, and then that was the disc on the other side popping out. So so a week and a half later, I was in the hospital again, and I had bone fusion. They fused L5S1, the lower part of my back, and I also have 4 titanium screws in there. So, but the process of getting from the accident to the surgeries was crazy insane. I had the company that I worked for, I was off from work for about 4 weeks, and then they told me I had to come back to work in order for them to continue to pay the bills. And so I went back to work, and I was there for another 6 weeks until they decided they were going to fire me. And they did. They fired me.
So was this because of the disability?
Yes, they fired me because at that point, I was a liability to them, because I was no longer able or capable of doing the job that I had once done. I had to walk around the job with a cane, and so in this facility that you're in, this frozen food place, the floors are always very slippery and icy. You wore a cold suit because it was so cold in there. And I had forklifts flying around all the time. You have to be able to get out of the way while I'm walking with a cane. That's not easy to do, especially with a hurt back. They put me on a special duty. They just had me there. They had me at the building in the break room, sitting in the break room for 8 hours a day, cleaning the break room.
Oh.
Because they had to have some type of excuse to even have me working. as
Just to
as
let you
they said.
stay there, no?
And then I also had the regular workers coming in, and some of them I was friends with, and some of them would come in and, oh, you're faking, you're not really hurt or anything like that. And
Oh my.
it wasn't until afterwards when they found out I had my second operation and had to have bone fusion that they said, I guess he's not faking. So no, they wouldn't do an operation on my back like that if I was faking. But the people who the manager of the place, they hired a private investigator to follow me.
Oh, for
So
what?
and watch me. I caught the guy following me. I was in a Walmart and I was getting some groceries, and this guy come running past the aisleway, and he came back in the aisleway and stopped and saw me, and I was like, I've seen this guy, and
Several
so
times because he is the same guy that would always follow you.
yeah.
Oh,
So he left the aisle, and I saw him go back into the clothing area, and he was hiding behind something, taking pictures of me and stuff. They wanted to
what do you
they were
think
trying
was
to
the
catch
main
me to see if I
reason
was
why they were following, why they hired a private
to
investigator?
see if I was doing something that I shouldn't be doing,
Just like what?
like bending over in certain ways or picking heavy things up,
If
or
you're really telling the truth.
yes, to see if I was really
Ah,
telling the truth. Yeah.
I
But
see.
the records that I brought, they actually after they fired me, they threatened me. They said I was going to be arrested. I rode a motorcycle. I had a motorcycle and a truck, and the truck was difficult at best for me to drive because of the way
Mhm.
the contour of the seat was. It was hurting my back, pushing my back. So I was more comfortable riding on my motorcycle. And they said, no, that's against the law. You're not allowed to do that. And I said, I have a license to do it. So why is it against the law? So they were just trying to intimidate me the entire time. And then they had videotape of me going to a bank uh, on my motorcycle. And I said, what's the problem? They said, well, you're riding a motorcycle. You have to pick that up. I said, it's on a kickstand. You're not picking it up dead weight. You're just leaning up. And hey, you shouldn't be doing that. And I said, why not? So they tried to push a bunch of stuff on me, and then I went when I went to get unemployment, they tried to block unemployment from me, and but they lost. Even the
The
judge said that.
unemployment benefits.
Yeah, the
Uh-huh.
judge saw that they were
Oh,
just trying to. Even they tried to push that. They said, "Oh, we have videotape of him riding a motorcycle," and the judge said, "I don't want to see your videotape because that's nothing to do with anything." So,
oh,
so
it went to the court.
yeah, I had to go to court for it. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, the judge threw that part about it. He the judge just did not want to see it. They said, "He's not doing anything wrong. He has a driver's license to drive the motorcycle, correct?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "Is there anything on the paperwork from the doctor that said he was not allowed to drive his motorcycle?" And they said, "No." I said, "Okay, then he's not breaking the law."
Mm.
So, but yeah, they did all kinds of tactics like that, trying to. When I went in for my first surgery, they called up the hospital 5 minutes before I was about to go into surgery and told the hospital, "Oh, we're not paying for this." And but my doctors, luckily I had a good lawyer and good doctors who just kept reassuring me, "Don't let that bother you. This is just their idle threats that they're going to have to pay for it. They know they will, but they just want to try to scare you into not
Exactly.
getting this type of thing." So, but it
Uh-huh.
never scared me. I never let it scare me because I just chose to rise above it. I chose to not listen to what they had to say to me because I know the entire time they were lying
Mm-hmm.
because they were just trying to intimidate me.
Yes.
I found out by this. I was on disability, and they had a disability nurse who would call my house every week and check on my progress. I learned not to talk to that nurse anymore because she wasn't doing it for my benefit. She was reporting back to the company. In other words, this is their
Oh.
way of checking in on me to see if they
How,
can catch me in in any wrongdoings.
how did you
So
discover that she was working for the other party?
my lawyer told me.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
he said, "She's not working for you, she's working for them." He said, "So if she calls again, don't tell her anything." I said, "Okay, I won't." So I just followed his advice, and every time she called, I said, "Hello, how are you?" And she said, "I'm just checking up on you." I said, "What are you checking up on me for? You just talked to me the other day." She
Mm-hmm.
says, "Well, I just want to see." I said, "No, you don't." And that's when I called her on it. I said, "You don't want to check on it for for my progress, for my benefit. You're checking on it because you're reporting back to the company. I said, so don't call my house anymore, because no matter how many times you call, I see what the number is. I won't answer
Uh-huh.
because I don't have to talk to you.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, oh. I
Oh.
said, yeah. So I know you're lying,
Uh-huh.
and I know you're lying to me so that I can give you information so you can report back to them. But because I know you're lying, I'm not going to do it anymore. I did it once. I'm not going to do it again because you're doing it against me. So you're a nurse whose whose obligation is towards the patient. I said,
But
so
was she doing something like a therapy for you? No.
no, she wasn't doing anything.
She
She
was
was just
just
checking up on me.
getting information.
Yeah. So anybody out there who's listening, if you have a nurse that keeps calling your house because you're on disability, don't talk to them because they're going against you. But see, with doctors and nurses, they are there to, to help the patient if they are meant to. If it's a doctor you went and got. Now, if it's a doctor you're going to because you got hurt at your job, they're against you.
Mhm.
They're not there to help you whatsoever. So
So, when you have experienced this, what was that feeling? And did you feel that, oh my, I feel hopeless. I feel uh,
I was being
not,
watched at all times. I couldn't go. I I wouldn't even leave my own home
so you were
because I
afraid
knew,
also? Are you
yeah, I
afraid?
knew that any moment that I left my home, I was being watched. I was being observed by people. They were watching everything I did, everywhere I went. I was being watched. I was being followed.
Did you try
And
applying also again for another job? No.
no, I was not allowed to apply for another job. I had to wait until this entire thing was over, and that took 4 years.
Oh.
Well, I was out of work and I was getting paid a disability check, but because the company is paying me, they decided how much to pay me. And then eventually they decided that they were just going to try to, their goal was to get me to drop the case.
Uh-huh.
So in order to do that, they would use all these scare tactics to get me to drop the case. And one of those scare tactics was take away the money that they were paying me for the disability, even though I had paid into disability insurance my entire life. They are the ones who are in control of it, they. So and they decided that they were just going to start taking the money away, and they did. And by the last time I got a check, which was 4 years later, that last check, I went from making almost $900 every 2 weeks. But my pay that I was getting from where I worked, I was making almost $1,000 every 2 weeks, or a little bit, like $1,200 every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So I was already getting less than that. But the last check I received from this insurance company was for $12
Mhm.
for a 2 week period, $6 a week.
Wow.
So that's what the system is. So people who say, "Oh, I'd love to get hurt and get on disability," no, you do not want to do that. It's not easy. That's an insurance disability. That's different from getting a Social Security
But
disability from the
but
government or
isn't
something like
it
that.
the unemployment is being provided by the state or the county?
Yes, yes. Well, there's a difference between being on state unemployment, and this was Social Security unemployment, where the Social Security was, that money was actually coming from the company where I worked at. Uh,
Oh.
the regular state uninsurance, the unemployment insurance was great. I was, except when I was on the state unemployment insurance, if I started getting regular Social Security payments, I had to stop getting. I couldn't get it from both, so I did that. So I had to report that in, and then if
Oh.
I had an overage, I had to pay that back, and I did too. So no problem there. But it was the being getting a benefit check from the company that I worked for. And because the company is in control of that, the company could decide how much they're going to pay you or not pay you, and that's what they did to me. So, and they did that as a deterrent to me, so I would eventually they would say, hoping me to drop the case and try not to sue them. Now we did sue them. The lawyer did sue them, but the state that I lived in at that point was Delaware, and in order to get like a lot of money from a court case like that, you would actually have to lose like a limb, like an arm or something like that. In order, and I don't want to give up an arm for because by the time we settled, we only settled it was $60,000, and one
You
third of
paid for
that went
that 60,000?
for over a 4-year period, yeah,
Oh
and
my,
20,000 of that went to the lawyer, so I only got $40,000.
oh my, oh my.
And that's, I made $40,000 a year already. So I was only making a third of what I would have in 4 years.
So how long have you been unemployed after that?
For 4 years.
For 4 years, and then you were
Yeah.
able to get a job immediately.
Yeah. I finally, after the court case was over, I applied through unemployment to get schooling because I could no longer perform the tasks that I was doing before that. I couldn't drive a forklift anymore. I couldn't do certain things because I had just had this type of surgery. And when you're driving a forklift, there's no shock absorbers in the forklift. So every time you hit a bump, you feel that bump, and it was just too much for my back to take at that point. So
Mhm.
it was at that point I had to get a desk job, more or
A
less,
desk
and I
job.
did. So yeah, so I ended up going to school for electronic health records, and
Okay.
then after that I got a job right
Uh-huh.
after schooling.
Okay.
Not I wouldn't call the best place to work in the world, but it was a job. But
Uh-huh. At
I ended
least
up,
to pay for all the bills, expenses, the
yeah,
monthly
yeah,
bill.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, I still had to pay for all that
And
stuff too.
and
So,
and you have a family during that time. How many kids do you have?
nope, no family.
Oh, you're still single.
I had been divorced from my first wife for about 5 years at that, or well, no, let's say after that. By the time I got the job, yeah, I had been divorced from my first wife for about 6 years at that point.
Okay. And
Yeah, no
you don't
kids.
have
So
kids.
no,
Okay. So
no,
at least you're responsible only for yourself during that time.
yeah, yeah, I was responsible for
Uh-huh.
myself.
So a lot easier. Mhm.
Um, yeah, but I had gone through. I mean, it took a toll on me mentally to go
Of,
through all of that.
of course, because
Um,
if you even have kids, it's a lot of pressure as well.
yeah,
Taking care of your children at the same time yourself.
yeah, I'm not able to have children. I'm type 2 diabetes, but my
Mhm.
diabetes had sterilized me, so I was not able to have children.
Mhm. Okay. So, uh, during that time, at least your trauma, your really in your dark moment was during that 4 year period, right? And until when you got to the point wherein I am done with the case, after 4 years, you were able to get a job. Was there was I'm sure it helped. No, it helped so much. But was there a time wherein, oh, am I doing the thing that I really like, the desk job? Because I don't know. Was that the time wherein you have discovered your purpose, or was that the time wherein, okay, I'm doing this just to pay my bills? And when was that time wherein, oh, I would like to do what I want to do? That's why you're doing what you're doing right now. What was
No,
the
well,
turning point wherein you've turned you're doing what you're doing right now, helping people?
well, that actually came during while I had my job there. So what I do now is my professional name is I'm Spirit Medium Daniel. Um, with that, that was actually I didn't know I was a medium until about 7 years ago. I have always seen spirit my entire life. I've seen spirit ghosts and stuff like that walking around since I was 3 years old. My whole family experienced it when I was that young. It wasn't until I was about 17 with my parents and we moved from New Jersey down to Delaware. And it was that around that point. I mean, everyone else was still kind of seeing stuff, but not they don't see as much as I do. And then, but I had seen them throughout my entire life, even through that whole traumatic period there. I had always seen spirit. I just see them, but I didn't think anything of it, other than I just see them
But
frequently.
how do you
Uh,
feel? Because it's something different, very unusual. How do you know that you
oh,
have?
sure, sure.
Uh-huh.
Well, we dealt with it as all. It was me and my two brothers and my sister, but my sister and I seemed to be seeing more. So we were. It was called, we always use the term "you're sensitive to these types of things." Has nothing to do with sensitive, and I know that now. Um, but my sister and I would see more of it. Uh,
Could you explain to me what is see? What were you seeing more? I'm kind of interested.
I see
Specifically what?
I see what we would call ghosts all
Oh,
the time.
ghosts.
Yeah, yeah. I
Do
see
you talk
people.
to them?
I do, but they talk to me. I hear them talk to me. I
Oh,
hear them audibly hear them. They talk to me and talk to me about things.
why
Um,
why is it they would like to speak to you? What is there a reason behind why there's a need for them to talk?
yeah, yeah. The reason. So everyone, when you were born, your body is born. Your soul is not born. Okay, that's why I don't mess with astrology because astrology is not real. Astrology is a bunch of bullcrap. In the very beginning, the first calendar was 5 months long, and then it went to 9, and then it went to 10, and then it went to 12. So they had 5 signs, and they created 4 more, and then 1 more, and then 2 more. Uh, so meaning your body is born. Your body is absolutely born, and it's not actually born under stars. It's just born. That's all. It's your soul comes into the body when the body's being born. It doesn't sit in the mama's belly and all that stuff. It doesn't learn anything there. So the soul comes into this world to do two things: to learn lessons and fulfill a purpose. But it can't do that in this physical world without being in a physical body. So the body is only here for one thing: to be the car for the passenger, and the passenger is the soul, and the car is just the means of getting the soul around here in this physical world.
Mhm.
So, but I physically see them, and the reason I see them, we all have an ability to see them in the very beginning when you're young, when you're a child, because you are pure of heart, because you don't know the ways of the world. You haven't been taught pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, all that stuff yet, because all the anguish you have in this world, you were taught how to have it.
What do you
You didn't
mean
have
you
it.
see them? You see the message while you're here, or you see the ghost, or you
Oh, I
see
see the
spirit?
ghosts. I see them standing in front of me, but I hear their voice inside of me. Now, people think that you're hearing it inside your ears, but you're not. You're actually, the way that they communicate is what we would call telepathy.
Telepathy. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're hearing it because it's coming from soul to soul. It's not coming in your ears, it's coming from soul to soul. They're communicating with your soul, and then you're just hearing it that way. It's hard to describe because we have ears and we think we're hearing it that way, but you're not. You're actually hearing it inside of you, what makes you you, which is your soul. So they're just communicating with you. That's all.
Uh-huh. Was there
But
a time?
the reason they can do that when you're young is because you're pure of heart. But
Uh-huh.
see, pure of heart meaning you just came here from heaven, and your soul had to make a return trip to be here again. And because you made a return trip, in order to go to heaven, when you walk through into that light, you're washed away of all your pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, all that stuff. So you're a bright, white, loving soul at that point. And then that soul has to come back into a brand new body. It's still washed away of all that pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, and all that. It's perfect in that way. And because it is still perfect in that way, spirit can communicate with you because they communicate with you back at home. So they communicate with you here, but you're just unaware of it because you wake up in a baby body. You wake up going, what? Your mom and dad's going, I'm your mom and dad. And you're going, I don't know who the hell you are, but okay. And then they raise you. And when they raise you, they teach you the ways of the world. And when they teach you the ways of the world, you lose all that purity that you once had, because it's all blocked now by all pain and anger and sorrow and grief and anguish and all that stuff. You like I said, you don't know pain and anger or sorrow or grief or guilt until someone teaches it to you.
Mhm.
And the way that they teach it to you, like you get taught how to fear things. You as a child would walk up to a stove and see a burner and go, oh, what's that? And you touch it and you burn yourself. And then as a child, you go, oh, well, let me try it again. Well, you don't get to try it again because the moment you try it
It's
again, your mom
painful.
yells at you and says, no. And what'd she do? She just taught you how to fear something. And then you learn other ways of fear as well throughout the rest of your life. And that we get taught these things. And when they get taught all this stuff, it blocks all that purity that you had and that ability in order to communicate with those who are walking around who are in spirit. So when I actually see them, I see them physically.
Oh
Like
my.
if like you're, yeah, well, it's not scary. You just think it's scary. Do you know why it's scary?
Why?
Because everyone taught you it is scary.
Ghost, yes.
Yeah, ghosts are the only difference between you and a ghost is you have a body and they don't. That's it. That's the only difference.
But
I
how
mean, people are
during
scary. Regular
yes,
people are scary. You know, people who are mean people, who are horrible people and yell and have horrible attitudes against people. How come we don't fear them as much as we fear ghosts? They're the same thing. The only difference is a body. That's it.
but
Because when you die, you will actually step up out of your body and you will still be you. Does that mean that you are a demon and a devil? Does that mean when your mom and dad died, are they now a demon and a devil just because they are a spirit? No. That just means they're spirit now. That's all. That's
uh-huh.
the only difference.
But when
And
you
there's no such thing as demons and devils anyway.
when you discovered this extra eye, extra
They call it the sixth sense.
the sixth sense,
Yeah.
did you feel that, oh, I'm scared, what's happening to me, am
Well, of
I
course it did because Catholic religion taught me to be scared. Because the Catholic religion taught me that these things are demons and devils, and you shouldn't be talking to them. They're evil.
so how did you tell this to your parents? How did you
Well, I didn't have to explain it to them too much because, like I said, when we were young, when we we lived in New Jersey, I lived in a town that was right up against the Delaware River, and there was a battlefield on the edge of the town, and there was a hospital there. So this is where the Hessians fought back in the times of like George Washington, and they had a big battle there. They actually did a dig back there about a year ago, and they found all these bodies there all in one spot. Now, of course, they're not going to bury one body from a battle at a time, so they buried a whole bunch of them. Well, this is from 1700s, and so a lot of those bodies, the spirits there, when you step out of your body, you're gonna wake up and you're gonna see a light in front of you. That's your own personal light. It's a light into heaven that everyone gets. And you either walk in or you don't. And if you don't walk in, you will remain here as an earthbound spirit. You just be walking around here. I don't just see people. I see everything. And I mean everything. I see people, I see dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish, you name it. I see it
the
walking around.
spirits of the animals
Yeah.
as
Yeah, because when you wake up out of your body, sometimes you don't know you have died. They just boom, they get hit by a car and wake up out of their body. Because when you wake up out of your body, you still feel like you're you because you are you. The only difference between you and this you is this you has a body. Because the person that I'm talking to right now, Cynthia, is your soul. That's who I'm talking to. The body's just a body. That's all it is. It's a shell. It's a car. It's a vehicle to get your soul around in this place. So who I'm talking to is the soul. Who you're talking to is my soul. That's what makes you you. Your brain does absolutely nothing. Nothing. Your brain makes the little parts of the body work. It doesn't hold your memories. It doesn't hold who you are. What makes you you? That's your soul. It's always your soul will continue on. I mean, let me ask real quick. So when I say, when like you read off that I'm in communication with archangels, I am in communication with, they're not men. They don't have wings and shields and swords. They don't look like people. I see them for their true selves. And when I'm in communication with, they touch my face. This is yes, feels like a finger going across my face. And then when I get a no, it feels like a tear is running down my face. So I just asked them how many times you've been here. You're on life number 28. You've had 27 other lifetimes, meaning you've had 27 other sets of moms and dads, brothers and sisters, dogs and cats, and 27 other astrological signs that mean absolutely nothing, because your body's born under the stars. Your soul is not. Your soul's not born. It's created a long time ago.
So this
So,
is about reincarnation.
yeah, everything. You've been reincarnated. You're on life number 28. You've been reincarnated 27 other times,
Oh,
including this one. So you were born once and then reincarnated 27 times. That's all. So all these things that you went through with your son, he's not your only son. You've had many children. You've had many other lifetimes. Sometimes you come through as a man. Sometimes you come through as a woman, because you're not here to learn the same lessons over and over again. So you have to learn them differently. Sometimes you come through as a man's body. Sometimes you come through as a woman.
that's in general.
I know it's hard to wrap your head around, but it is. It just is. But you're here now because you went home to heaven and you came back again. That's all it amounts to. And the reason you had to come back again is because you didn't fulfill your purpose the last time you were here. In other words, what your purpose is everyone's purpose is the same. It's not becoming a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher. It's not becoming anything. You're going to fulfill your purpose by being one thing, human. That's all. And your purpose is we're here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not because you can, but because you should. But in a way where here's your purpose. Someone may bump into you in the street and say, "Excuse me, miss, I'm lost. Can you help me find my way?" And you could do one of two things. You could say, "I hate people. I'm not going to do it." Or you turn around and say, "Sure, this is how you get here." And you explain to them how to get there, or you show them how to get there. That's your purpose. That's all it is. It's not this big giant. Anyone who says my purpose is going to be this big giant grand thing, they're full of crap. That's their ego talking. No, it's very simple. And God made it very simple for everyone to do, so everyone could do it. That's all it is.
My vision
It's
is,
that simple.
I don't know. My
Fulfilling your
vision
purpose
is that
doesn't
it's a
cost money.
simple, it's a very simple. It's just to spread sunshine and happiness to all,
Correct.
so that it will
Correct.
create ripples.
Correct. But we all have to do it. But most of us don't, because we're too concerned with having 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats. That's why. Because we're more concerned with our ego. We're
Yes.
more concerned with this on the outside than what's on the inside. That's why we don't do it.
Oh my.
But yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. Yeah, I get it.
Yes.
But after finding all that out, it becomes, after a while, I've seen so many spirit, after a while, it just becomes, you get used to it. It's like
Excuse
when
me,
we're kids.
one question.
Sure.
Now we're talking here. Are you able to see spirits while we are talking?
Yeah. Who do you want me to look at? So like when you look at your background, I know your background's like a,
should I
background. So your background has a white background to it, correct?
Yes.
To you, it's white. To me, it's not. To you, it's white. To me, it's white and blue. I see blue in everything. I see blue in your complexion. I see blue in the clothes that you wear. I see that fake plant back there. I see blue in it. In other words, the blue that I'm seeing is, I see the veil. The veil that we talk about that separates heaven and earth and us being here in spirit. I see that veil in my regular vision. It doesn't turn off. It never goes away. I wake up, I open my eyes, I see it. I close my eyes, I see it. When people close their eyes, they see blackness. When I close my eyes, I see blue. What's that?
Is it good or bad?
Oh, it's just a veil. It's a line between here and being in spirit. When I close my eyes,
Ah,
I see spirit everywhere. When I open my eyes, I see spirit everywhere. I see that white background. It's just when I focus on that white background that you have, or focus just in the space within you are, instead of just looking at you and focusing on you, if I focus on everything else and I focus on it and concentrate, then I start seeing them. I mean, sometimes I have to do that, but sometimes they just walk past me or I just see them next to me.
so here, like for example, here you don't see any spirit walking around.
Oh yeah,
Are you're seeing?
yeah. I don't ever not see. Never. I don't ever not see spirit. Ever.
So right now, is there someone beside me?
Yeah.
Could you describe that spirit?
There's a gentleman standing behind you. He has a coat on. It's a brown coat with a darker brown trim around the top of it. He's got brownish hair with a little bit of gray in it. He's got his hair's parted to the sides. He's got these bushy eyebrows. He's smiling at me now because he knows I can see him. His name is Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Um, he was 63 when he died. He's got a full beard, mustache, but the beard is kind of brown with a little bit of like gray in it at the bottom of it.
Is he Caucasian?
He's got a
Asian?
woman standing next to him. Her name is Joyce. Um, she's got a guy standing next to her. His name is Stephen. You have 3 dogs and 2 cats there, and a horse.
Why do you think are they with me?
They're not with you per se. They're just there because spirit is everywhere. So, in other words, you don't have to go to a haunted house to find spirit. You don't have to go to an abandoned prison to find spirit. You wake up and you have spirit around you. You wake up and do your daily routine. As I say, people shit, shower, and shave. They do they get up, they have some breakfast. They go to work and do their job, and maybe they don't do their job because they're a lazy piece of crap. Who knows? And then they come home and watch some TV and go to sleep and wake up and do it all over again. You have spirit around you 24/7, and they're watching what you do, but they don't care what you do because they don't have to do it anymore. They don't do physical things like we do anymore. They don't pay bills, and they're not waiting for 4:30. Where they are, they just are. They just be.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter where you go, they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're not ever not anywhere.
So now, since you have discovered this gift, what
Would you
are
call it a
you?
gift? Would you call it a gift? I have to navigate through life because I see so much all the time. I have to look at the difference between regular people and them. I'm telling you, in this way, it never turns off, ever. So in order for me to go to sleep at night, I have to take a sleep aid because if I don't, they won't stop talking to me because they know that I can see them.
But
Because
what is
when
usually
you were
their
when you were a
message?
child and after they taught you the ways of the world, your pureness went away, so your light dimmed down to like what everyone else has. My light didn't dim, my light actually grew brighter. So out of the 1,000 people standing in a room, I'm like a moth. I'm like a flame, and the moths see me and they come to me and talk to me because they know they can, because the ones who have the brighter lights, they know they can
They get
communicate with.
attracted to the brighter light. But
Right.
what is usually their message to you?
Well, all depends on where they are. The ones who are earthbound don't give a shit about nothing. They don't have a message. They don't necessarily have a message for you. It's not like they're going to tell you like, oh, they have some secret special message for you. The
No,
ones
I
over there,
mean
the ones that are
message
here
for you.
earthbound don't care about nothing. They
But
just don't, because
what keeps?
they don't concern themselves with money and stuff like that like we do.
But I
They don't care
don't.
if you're happy or not.
Yeah, but
It's the ones who have crossed over. They are concerned with your well-being because they want you to come home. In other words,
Because
they want you to come home and stay home. So what do
I
they want you to do? They want you to live a
yeah.
good life and help as many people as you can,
So
because that's what gets your
is
purpose fulfilled. So
that
you
is
can
the
come home.
message that they
Yeah,
want
to
to
come.
share.
Yeah, to fulfill your purpose so that you can come home and stay home, because
Oh.
they don't want you to have to come back and do this all over again.
And what do you mean by stay home? What is home?
Like go home to heaven.
Okay.
Yeah. And we just call it heaven, but it's just it's a very positive realm. It's a different realm of existence. And in order to stay there, you have to fulfill your purpose. But again, you've been here 28 times. So if you don't fulfill your purpose this time, you'll come back again.
Are you saying that I've been here 28 times for
Yeah.
me or the
Yeah.
whole all of us?
You have. Yeah.
I've been here
Everyone's been
28
here
times.
different. Yeah. I've only met one person who's been here 9 times. But everyone else has been here between 26 and 29 times. But that's the average time. I did a reading for a lady who has been here 43 times. She's totally messing it up. Totally. She's messing it up again. I even told her that she has to come back and do it all over again. She was very upset, but because of the life she lived. The reason why you're not being punished, no one is being punished. God doesn't punish you. You come back again because you didn't do things right. That's it.
So that means 28 times I was not able to do
You didn't
things
fulfill your
right
purpose
before.
enough. Yeah, you do it throughout your lives, but you don't do it enough as much as God would like us to do. He sends us here to learn things and to fulfill a purpose, and that purpose is helping each other. But in other words, what you're doing is the help that you're doing is helping someone else to do something they cannot do, or helping them to figure out how to do it for themselves. That's all it is. It's that simple. Anyone else who makes a big deal out of it is full of shit. They just
Mhm.
are. I don't make the rules. I just explain them.
Oh my.
And archangels tell them to me. In other words, when I hear it from archangels, I used to ask in the very beginning, I would say, is this what God wants me to do? What does God want? Does he want me to do this or that? And they told me, if we tell it to you, then that's what God wants. So in other words, whatever they tell me is coming from God. It's just, if you look up in the stars in the sky and see everything that's going on, he's doing that. He doesn't necessarily have time to tell each individual person what he wants from them. So he sends spirit and archangels. People don't have angels walking around with them. The only reason you would have angels with you is because you're performing a specific task that God wants you to do, and you're doing it on a large scale. That's what I'm doing. But I don't just do this. I cross spirit over into the light as well. Because the light is me.
Another question I would like to ask. I don't know, am I now fulfilling God's plan for me?
No, you're fine.
I'm fine.
Yeah, you'll get it done.
I'll get it done.
Let me
After
ask real quick.
this, I'm done. I won't be coming back.
Let me ask. Yeah, no, you're done. You won't come back again. You'll go home and stay home.
Mm-hmm.
You've already completed it.
Mm.
In other words, if you wanted to go out throughout the rest of your life and help other people, you can. But do you have to? No. But that doesn't mean you go out and wreak a bunch of havoc either. You just have to try to be the best version of you that you can be, but don't do any stupid stuff.
Of course. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I always tell that's my advice to people. Be good and don't do any stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do, don't get caught. But you're always caught.
Oh, nothing can be hidden with God.
Right. He knows everything.
He knows everything.
He knows everything. You can't hide anything from him.
Yes,
He
you
knows
cannot
everything.
hide. Exactly.
Yeah. And he doesn't punish you. He just lets you know you could have done this, but you didn't. You chose to do this. And that's why I have to bring you back again. Because I wanted you to do this, but you didn't learn enough to do it. You did this instead. So that's why you're coming back. So in other words, it's your fault that you're coming back, not mine.
Because we have this freedom to choose, no?
Yes, we have freedom of choice. Yes, he gave
Yes.
that us freedom. In the same sense, where God is not going to punish us or banish us to a place for doing what he gave us. He's not going to send you to hell because he gave you that choice. He gave you the option to have a choice. If you chose something that wasn't good for you or other people, you're not going to hell for that. He doesn't have to send you to hell if he can just bring you back again so you can try again.
Mm-hmm. Oh
There
my.
is no such place as hell. There's no one walking around with horns and a tail torturing anybody. There might be somebody walking around with horns and a tail, but it's just because that's what they look like where they come from. Because if people think we're the only planet with people on it, you better
Because we
think again.
imagine that's what we were taught to imagine, no? That
Yeah.
image, no?
Yeah. No, there's nobody. I mean, I've seen some very. I see not just people and people from this world. I see everything. I see other beings from other places too. So
So
I see
how
everything in spirit.
so how
Everything.
are you now helping other people through this?
I I let them know. Well, first of all, I do what's called readings for people, where I sit with people and they ask me questions, personal questions, and I give them they ask me things and they're worried about something, and then I give them the answer to it, and then they go, oh, so it's not so bad. And I go, no, it's not so bad as you think it is. So I'm giving them some peace of mind, some clarity, some things that are going on in their lives. But then they ask me questions about where do I go from here and what do I do, and then I get the answer for them, and then I tell them. So I'm giving them the direction that God wants them to do in other words, to stay on track to learn the lessons and fulfill purpose. But everything's a lesson in your life. If you walk through a doorway and there's a nail in the floor and you trip over the nail, how do you learn that lesson so you don't trip again? You go get a hammer and you bang that nail in so you can walk through that door freely. Some people do that. Most people don't. Most people tend to trip over a nail the rest of their lives because they're just not good at learning. Tripping is trying to do they do the same thing over and over and over again, thinking they're going to get a different outcome when they don't. But they haven't learned that they're still getting the same outcome every time. They haven't learned to do something different. In a sense, where, like a woman said to me one time, I went out with this man, Daniel, and he was a horrible man. And then the next one was a horrible man, and then the next one was a horrible man. And I said to her, "What do they have in common?" And she was like, "How do you know they have something in common?" I said, "Because I know they do. So I'm the medium. I know. So what do they have in common? I want you to tell me." And she said, "Well, they all had brown hair and blue eyes." I said, "Okay. Well, next time you go out with a man, make sure he's a blonde. Do something different." She couldn't figure that out. She kept going out with the same guy who looked alike, and each one of those guys that looked alike all had this crazy issue. And she thought, maybe if I just go out with another one, it'll change. No, it won't. Go out with something different, and then it'll change.
Mhm.
She couldn't see that. So yeah, a lot of people just can't see that. So I get answers for them, and then I explain that answer to them, and
And
it
then
makes sense for
they
them.
come back to you, tell you,
Oh, they tell me all kinds of stuff. How
and then
things worked
they
out differently and
achieve
everything got better
something.
and all that stuff. Yeah. I
Ah,
just did a reading for another woman about 2 hours ago.
uh-huh.
Yeah, it's her second reading with me, and but in between readings, she does report back to me and talk to me and stuff like that. And I tell her things to do, but this time she just had a whole lot of questions, and it took a period of 2 hours for me to answer all that stuff for her.
Oh, my.
Yeah, and
Oh,
that's what I do. But then I go on the podcast and I talk about all this stuff and uh, and tell them that the no matter what, we can't seem to get over the fact that people die, but the world doesn't want you to believe that they die because everything is a tragedy. Okay. As I tell everyone, no one dies too soon, no one dies too young, no one dies unexpectedly, no one dies tragically, and no one dies suddenly. Everyone just dies. They just do. But the world wants you to blame everything for their death. No, you just die. There's nothing to blame. You die because the body expires. That's it.
It's
Or you
just that,
die because when it's your time to go, it
yeah,
just is. When it's time for the soul to go home. When you were a child, and if you were outside playing and your father said, Cynthia, it's time to go home, what did you do? You got up and you went home. Well, if God says it's time for your soul to come home, the body has to die in order for the soul to come home. That's it. So
mhm.
it's going to happen no matter what you do. A doctor can heal your wounds and heal your bones, but he cannot keep your soul from going home because it's not meant to be kept here. It goes home when it's meant to go home, and that's it. And you have no control over it. It's not a matter of if you're going to die. It's just a matter of when. But
Yes,
it's what you do while you're here before that happens.
that is important.
That's what's
What
important.
have you done while you were still alive?
Right. When you go
What
when you see when
changed?
you go to a graveyard and you see a headstones all they're sitting there, you see the year they're born, you see a little dash, and then you see the year that they died.
Yes,
Do you want your life described as being a dash? I don't.
the dash.
So
I think that is the dash, the most important thing,
yeah,
because
but it's only represented by a dash. So
but
in other
that
words, that dash is left as a marker for your death. The headstone is a marker for your death. Don't let the headstone be the marker.
but
You be the
I
marker.
was interpreting it in a different way, wherein the dash is the journey,
Yeah.
wherein what have you done throughout the journey? Did
Right,
you
but when
do
you look
good?
at the headstone, all you see is a dash. And what does dash mean? Nothing.
Mhm.
So let 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 your memory, let the memory of you be important. So much so that everyone remembers who you are by the things that you did, by the things that you did to help other people. And they don't have to be achievements. So you need a pat on the back because the people who do the most achievements don't need to be patted on the back. They just do it out of the kindness of their own heart, and that's what we should be doing.
Yes.
I don't need to be recognized for everything that I do.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for recognition, well, then you got a self-esteem problem. Go get that
Yes.
fixed.
The ego.
Yeah, that's the ego.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So,
and
so
that's what we
you
need
were
to get rid of.
so you were telling me that it's my 28th time here. So when I
Yeah,
die, I won't be coming back.
no, you won't be
Done.
coming back, but you could come back if you wanted to.
Oh,
But
my
the way,
choice.
but I don't want you to.
Uh,
Don't. So what happens is you're going to wake up out of your body. You'll stand up. You look down. You see your body and go, oh, I don't need that anymore. You take a step to the left. You look to the right, and a light will turn on for you. This light is what we would call it's your own personal light into heaven. There is one other light that shines all the time that all spirit can see, but this will be your personal one. And then you either walk in or you don't. It's your choice. I
mhm.
don't recommend staying here because it's not the best
Oh,
place to be
yes.
because there's a lot of negative energies walking around here. So
Mhm.
you walk in, you go to a holding place because no one goes to heaven right away. And when you get to heaven, no one sees God. You just don't. Uh, so, but you will see other spirit walking everywhere, and angels and archangels and stuff like that walking around. Again, they don't look like men with wings and shields and swords. They would probably scare you if you saw what they actually look like. But they because they show themselves to me.
Oh,
But
this is very interesting.
yeah,
So,
they and then you go there, and but that holding place, they'll go over your life with you. It's not judgment because God doesn't judge us. We judge ourselves 1,000 times a day. Why does He need to do it once more? Because He just doesn't. That's people who tell you that. People judge people. God doesn't. And then they go over your life with you, and they tell you what you did do and what they wanted you to do, what you didn't do because you made a choice to do something different. And then the ones who didn't do enough will be told that they have to come back again. But you on this time around will be told, "Oh, you did enough." Now they will ask you if they want to go back. Before they would tell you and say you got to go back, but this time they will ask you if you want to go back. And when they ask you, I just want you to tell them no. They know that I'm telling you this because they're okay with me because they know because they're just giving you a choice to go back because I'm just telling you don't come back because this place is not going to be a nice place. It's
mhm.
going to be horrible.
Okay.
We're not getting
Oh.
to Star Wars and Jetsons. It's going to be much worse.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's
This
going to be
is
like a war movie here in the United States.
but the world is it's such a chaotic place. Oh my. That's
Yeah,
the
it's
reason why
But I have a book called The New Beginning, My
Uh-huh.
Awakening as a Spirit Medium, and at the very last page of my book doesn't say the end. It says 2332. That's the end.
Oh, how'd you know that?
I didn't. They told me.
Mm.
But like my book's called The New Beginning. It's not about me. It's about everyone else. So the new beginning is life will start again on another planet. This planet will come to an end, and then life will start on another planet. We have been at another planet before this one. You've heard of it. It's called Mars. We
Mhm.
destroyed that place. We're doing the same thing to this place that we did to that place. And then this life will end here. The 2332, again, you'd have to be a mathematician to figure this out. I'm not a mathematician, but this is what they told me. So 2332, if you took the 2332 and you took 23 and you added that together, what's that make? 5. And you take the 32 and you add that together, what's that make? 5. And then you add 5 and 5 together, what's that make? 10. If you turn that 10 around, what do you have? 0, 1. So in other words, life ending here in 2332 will be 0, 1, a new beginning on another planet. I didn't come up with that. There's no possible. I'm not a mathematician. How would I know that?
Mhm.
They know it.
Oh my. Oh my.
That's God's plan.
Uh-huh.
I just bring it because that light that I told you about. So you have your own personal light, but there's another light that shines all the time that all spirit can see. Those spirits that are walking around, you can see that light. That light is a light that shines all the time, that shows, it is a beacon of light that shows all spirit where to go. This is the light that shines into heaven, showing spirit where to go so they can go home. But that light that shines is another soul. Like you have a soul and I have a soul. It's a soul that's here on this earth in a body walking around. It's actually a person walking around. And because when you go home, you've been here 28 times. In other words, you go home and then your soul comes back into another body. Well, this soul that is here to be that light that shines all the time in a body doesn't go home. It when the body expires that it's in, another one is born and it goes into that body. So it stays here a long time. So people talk about being an old soul or something like that. Everyone is an old soul because you've been here 28 times. So your soul is very old. This particular light, this soul is the oldest soul. It's been here the longest. So it's here. It has to continuously be here in order to shine all the time. And then they can hear it too. Like when people are talking, spirit hear our voices, but they can tune it out because 7.5 billion people becomes like static after a while, and they just a mess, and they don't want to hear it. With this other soul, they have to be able to hear it, so they know where to go. They can hear it off in the distance and say, "That's where I got to go." They can see the light and say, "That's where I got to go if I want to go home." And that soul
Mhm.
is me.
Oh,
It's me.
okay.
That's why I do what I do. That's why I'm able to see the veil. That's why I have that connection with archangels all the time. That's why I see everything that I do, because I see everything.
So how have you helped the survivors, those who are needing help? Is it through the messages that you give them?
Yes, the messages that I give them in order to get them on track so they can fulfill their purpose and not come back here to teach the world that we are all living on this world. No one's going anywhere anytime soon, so we better start to get along with each other before we annihilate each other.
And what
That's the
message are you
message.
usually spreading? Is it about love
Yes, it's
and
about
kindness?
love because all you need is love. We
Mm.
need to get back to loving each other, taking care of each other, teach them the real reason why Jesus Christ was here. He was here to show us he's not the only son of God. We are all his children. We are all the sons and daughters of God. And he was here to let us know. And he was here to let us know that we could take care of each other. There's enough of everything in the world. We could share everything in the world because there's enough of everything in the world to share. You could be a farmer, your son could be a farmer, and I could be a doctor, and I would heal his wounds, and he would give me food because I healed his wounds, and we could call it a day after that. I don't have to charge him thousands of dollars
Mhm.
and him having to work his bones to death just to get those $1,000. We could share everything in the world, and we could take care of it and live as free men and women in this world. That's why Jesus was here. But the people who are in power and control, kings and queens, that's who wrote the Bible, they saw him doing this, and they said, we can't have this man on the streets. He's taking our power and our control away. He's taking our taxes away from him. He's taking everything away from us, and we can't have them. So they put him on a cross. He didn't do it voluntarily. They put him on a cross. They tortured him and murdered him in front of everybody to make an example out of him, to let everybody know that if you follow what he's doing, if you're doing what he's saying, if you think you're going to get away from us, we're going to do this to you too. That's why he didn't die for your sins, because you don't sin. When you sin, that means you're breaking their rules, their laws. That's what sin is. There is no Garden of Eden in one specific place. The entire planet is the Garden of Eden. We've been given this beautiful place to live in, yet we destroy it. To what end? To what extent? We need to stop destroying it. These Tesla cars are no good for the environment. They have a huge battery in it, a lithium battery that's not good for the environment. We've been taught a lie. We've been told the Bible is, we should be living our lives by the Bible. There's rape, murder, polygamy. There is pedophilia within the Bible, but people don't live that part of it. It says to obey your rulers in the Bible. What? No. So no, religion, the Bible, it's all a lie in order to keep us under control so that the rich stay rich and the rest of us have nothing. We are all slaves to this world. I don't care what color you are. We're all slaves to this world. Because the reason is because we relinquished the power to them a long time ago. We need to take that power back. It's time to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to live my life like this anymore. I'm not going to let anyone else tell me how to live my life, because that's what religion does. They want to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it, and give them 10%. You know.
But isn't it
how do they know about 10% so long ago? Because they were kings and queens. That's how.
But the 10% I know is about sharing what you have.
No, it's sharing is sharing to everyone, not sharing to one single group, because they're going to tell you how to live your life, because they're going to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it and not break their rules. That's not sharing. That's paying money to them for protection. They're going to keep you from going to hell. They can't. Because one thing, there is no such place as hell. They can't even get you into heaven. You go to heaven by your own choice. So why do you need them? You can talk to God as much as you want to. Why do you need them to be the middleman? You don't need a middleman. God doesn't think you need a middleman if you want to have a relationship with him. If you want to have a relationship with him, do that. You don't need to pay someone else to do that.
Oh my. Okay. Oh my.
I told you it was going to be a lot.
Yes. And it's so hard for me to process everything.
It is a lot. Yeah.
It is a lot. So
but it is about love. It is about taking care of each other and having respect for each other.
And I think that should be the main objective, our main goal in life.
Yeah, the people who are judging you have more going on than you do. But this is their way of making themselves feel better. It gives them a sense of power. Well, no, I don't let them do it. People can call me with something names all day long, but God did not create words. He created us and gave us an ability to make words. He gave us an ability to make sound. We created words from that. Because how do you know? Because there's many, many different languages throughout this world. They all make their words differently. But he gave us an ability to make sound. So you can say any word that you want to that begins with the letter F that doesn't sound like fire truck, and he doesn't really care. What he doesn't want us to do is put these nasty words that have a malintent on it on other people. He doesn't want us to treat each other poorly, but we do.
Yes. So thank you so much with a lot of information that I have to process. Now, what would
you got more than you thought you were going to get, didn't you, lady?
So what would be your next goal for the next 12 months? with what you're doing right now, what's your plan?
To bring us together. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get us to work together, to figure this out, to get on track with each other and stop with all the differences. Stop, doing all the fighting and stop doing the crime we have in this world. And the biggest crime is stop believing in our government telling us that we're going into this country because we're going to liberate them. We don't do that to liberate anybody. We go into countries so we can take their resources from them. That's what we do. So stop letting them convince you that we are the good guys. We're not. No one is. But we need to get on track of being the good guys. But everyone needs to do that. We need to work together for the common good of everyone and not just the individual one. That's
I
what we
think
need to do.
that already answered my next question, which is what simple advice would you like to share? And I think this is to share love and then
Yeah,
be
to stop judging each other. When you're about to walk through that door, and someone comes up to you and you don't like the way that they look, or you don't like the hair color they have or the clothes they have, instead of judging them, think to yourself, think about everything that you've been through your entire life. Take a self inventory of what you've been through and realize that you've been through some hard times. And then look back at that person and think to yourself, maybe they are going through some hard times right now.
Mhm.
And then you bite your tongue and then you walk away.
Yeah,
Don't judge them
yeah,
because they may be having a rough time, because everyone's having a rough time at some point in their lives. It's
mhm.
just people deal with it differently. And
Yes,
maybe they look a little bit disheveled that day, or they just look out of place because they're just feeling out of place. And who are you to tell them that they're not allowed to feel that way?
mhm.
So let it go and walk away.
Yeah. Just a mere smile. Give a smile
Oh,
to
yeah.
lift them up.
When I walk through a doorway and I see somebody, because you see people, they expend so much energy just trying to avoid you. They come from the other way, the other direction, and you can see them doing this, like, how do we get past this person without saying anything? Let me look into my phone. Let me avoid them. What I do is I walk right up to them. I say, hello. And
Yes.
they just look at me and I go, how are you? I'm
Mhm.
good. How are you? I'm doing good. I hope you have a
Yes.
great day today.
Uh-huh.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror and tell myself I'm going to be a good person today. I'm going to do good things today. I'm going to help as many people as I can. And if it's just a word, it's just a word or a smile or a gesture that's going to help them to brighten up their day. Why can't we just go out and do that?
Mhm.
Why
Those
can't
are
we do it?
simple acts of love.
Right. It's so easy to do. We can do it throughout our day to other people. Why can't we just do it to someone who's walking past us? There are
Mhm.
some people in this world who have lessons to learn. And are you there to teach every lesson to them? No, because sometimes there are some things they have to figure out for themselves. But we can still go out and do something. We can still go out and do something and show love and show respect and show some type of caring act towards other people. Why can't we do that? You
Yes.
can do that.
Mhm.
You just have to want to do that. That's all.
Yes.
I try to
Wow.
give them a reason to.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for the session. How can our listeners get in touch with you?
Well, like today, that I had a reading with a woman. She contacted me through my website. I have a website called Spirit Medium Daniel. It's www.spiritmediumdaniel.com. It's one long word, Spirit Medium Daniel, no spaces. And they can come on there and book a reading with me. I have a reading coming up on Wednesday. A lady who doesn't know that I already know that she has an ability like mine, and we will talk about that. Or if you just need some questions answered, I will answer it. Like I said, I answer all the unanswered questions, because the thing about with me is people come to me because they want an answer from God, and I get the answer. But sometimes they have a little bit of trouble with it because they just don't like the truth, but it's still the truth. So
Mhm.
if you're looking for some truth, I can bring that truth to you. So you just go to www.spiritmediumdaniel.com.
So you
Or,
also have the Facebook and Instagram.
yeah, I have a Facebook group. Now, with the Facebook group, that's a little That's a little different. In order to get on that Facebook, see, people can sign up to be on the Facebook group, but I monitor the group. And so I will let people know if you think you're going to come on my group and cause some issues or try
You
to go again and
you
do all
have to
this other
scream.
crap, it doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because before anyone joins, I will look at that person and see their face and see their name. And then I will ask my guides, archangels, does this person have good intentions? And if they touch my face for no, decline. That's how I do it. Just in the same way, like when I looked to be on your podcast,
Yeah, I
I
was
look up,
surprised because
I look
first
up,
initially
yeah,
you didn't tell that I'm
right.
interested. You
I
just
look at people and
comment.
I ask my guides, I say, should I try to be on this one? And if they tell me yes, then I put an ad up for it.
And
If
it
they
was
told me
how
no, I would have
many
passed by.
how many chat messages we've
Oh
gone
yeah,
through
we
before
messaged a bunch of
you
times.
told me that would I be included or would I be invited, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's always up to I they just tell me which ones to go on. So that's the ones I try to go on. Now I don't always get responses from everyone, but because they are afraid that I don't do something that mixes in with what they do. But if that were the case, I wouldn't be on as many podcasts as I'm on. I've been on over 200 podcasts in the past 3 years.
Uh-huh.
They
Oh.
usually get a lot. They usually get a lot more information out of me than they think they're going to get. So, so yeah, and if they want to find out that, they could. I actually have a podcast called Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. Me, Daniel Jackson, and and they can find that at www.beyond-the-veil.com. And so we have our own show, and we have about 70 shows on there, and I have other guests that come on. And then right now I'm doing some little shorts that go in between those to tell people what's real and what's not real in this world, because there's a lot of stuff in the business that even I do. I don't like to call it a business, but there's a lot of things in this that's fake. Uh, and I try to let them on to that so they don't go out and spend a bunch of money that didn't need to be spent. Um, but I also do other shows, and because I do other shows, I put the links of all these other shows that I'm on too, for two reasons. One, that they can find my interview there, but two, so hopefully they can find another show to listen to, because they don't just need to listen to me. So I try to do it for the benefit of the person whose show I'm on as well. Um, but yeah, I've been on. I mean, all you have to do is you go into YouTube and you put in the words "Spirit Medium Daniel Jackson," and you will see a whole bunch of shows that I have been on, because I just get out there because I'm trying to everything that I talk about. I'm trying to get out there. I'm trying to get out there into the public to realize that everything else that's been going on in this world is a superficial lie, and I'm just trying to bring the truth to them.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that's what I do.
Yes.
And then I have a book that I wrote about my life, about all these experiences I had with spirit and all that stuff, because it's very detailed.
Mhm.
And they can find that on Amazon. It's if you just punch in Daniel Jackson, The New Beginning, My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. It's right behind me there. I got a copy of it here.
Yes.
That's what it is. So if you see that, you punch that in on Amazon, the whole title, and you'll see this picture of this man walking into a bright white light. That man's me,
Ah,
and because the light is me,
ah,
and I sell it on Amazon for $8,
mhm.
because I'm not trying to make $1 million, but I sure am trying to help 1 million people.
Yes.
So
And
yeah,
that's usually our the main reason why we write books, to inspire and empower other people.
yes, yeah, I'm not trying to make a whole bunch of money. I'm trying
Yes.
to. You can actually get the book for $8, or if you get the ebook, it's like $6.46 or something like that. But
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Mhm.
or if you're out somewhere, like I do readings at these different places. We do a psychics arts fair up in Tucson, Arizona, and if you come there, um, I have books for sale there, and I'll sign the book for you. But usually, what I do when I sign the book for somebody is I ask Spirit to give me a message, and they tell me what to write down, and then I write the message in the book for them. Some of the times, I've actually done that for people, that they tell me what to and to write, and I write it in there, and I just hold it, and then I do the reading for them, and then whatever comes through the reading, I give them message what happens, and then they go, and then they look at the book and they open it up and they go, "How'd you know to write that? That was part of the reading from 20 minutes ago." I said, "I didn't know. They just told me to put it in."
Oh my. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Wow. Thank you so much, Daniel, for this wonderful session. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners were also overwhelmed with a lot of information,
yeah.
just
So
like
watch
me.
the video, listen to the interview over and
Yes,
over again.
yes. And then the message, actually, what we're relaying to them is just spread love. That's the
Yes.
main thing that we should be doing. The small baby steps that we can do to share our light, to spread light, is to share our love for each other, show compassion, show kindness. And
Yes.
that's what we need to do. And let this ripples spread out, that be created, so that others may be able to
Yeah, like
experience that love.
in my book, I everything that I went through to me and for me throughout my story was a difficult time in my life as well. But what I did, the premise of my book, at the very end of the book, there's like 25 messages that God gave me to write down. When I wrote them down and gave them to the editor, she actually sent them back and said they didn't need to be edited because they didn't come from me. They were perfect.
Mhm.
Everything else in the book had to be edited because my writing's horrible. But the premise of the book is, if you're having like issues like I had with this coming on, well, go out and find your people. There's someone else out in the world that's going through it or has been through it in this world. And they're out there somewhere, and you'll find them, because you're meant to find them.
Yeah.
But it's for everything in your life. If there's anything in your life that you have going on that you just can't figure out, go out and find your people. There's someone else out there who can help you with it. You just have to want to get that help, and you want to be able to reach out and find that help. And don't sit on it. Just go out and find someone, because there's somebody out there who can help you.
Exactly. We're here for each other. So
We are.
no man is an island.
No, we are meant to do this together. If we were not meant to do this together, there would only be one of us. There isn't. There's 7.5 billion of us.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Daniel. And again, to the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. And till our next episode, again, this is Cynthia Concordia from Dream to Rise. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay.